We're obsessed with the Connie Pheiff Show. It's about a lifestyle shift to move up or out.
Hey, what's your jam? What's the one thing that really drives you? What makes you unstoppable?
It's about opening a new door to live your dream.
People give up way too early on their dreams.
It's about enjoying the journey. It's about keeping it real.
Damn, now the interviewee is interviewing the interviewer. I like this.
It's all about you.
I knew there was something else I wanted to do. Stop taking shit so seriously. Y'all can do this. Take an outrageous look at life and laugh.
This is the Connie Pheiff Show.
We love your voice. We love your jam. You need to be on radio.
And now your host, Connie Pheiff.
Hey everyone, it is Connie Pheiff and welcome back to another episode of the Connie Pheiff Show. We just have so much going on right now, and if you are listening to this amid the coronavirus pandemic, I just want to just say to everyone out there, just hang in there. We're going to get through this, and we're all going to get through this together. And I just I'm talking to even a lot of our talent and those that are on our label, and just reassuring them that we are going to get through this. And this is the time to really sit back and be with yourself. Maybe it's to do those DIY projects that you've been wanting to do. Clean out the garage. Connect with some old friends that you just been too busy to connect with. And we have plenty of technology to do that with. Or maybe it's writing that next keynote or a book, or even just getting a keynote or an ebook out. But do something. I encourage you not to get locked into that, being that couch potato or hitting that refrigerator every day, but get up, exercise. Do something physical, do something active, and just get up and keep yourself moving. And that's a lot of what we're going to be talking about today on today's show. We're really keeping that energy up and keeping motivated and really keeping strong and keeping tough and breathing through this process, because we are going to get through it. I know every day, I'm sure you're listening to the news, and some days are up, some days we're down, and there's some disappointment, but there's a lot of encouragement at the end of it too. So stay there, hang in there. I want to introduce my guest now. Very, very lovely lady. And she is the energy worker. She is an energy worker specializing in women's energetics and sexual trauma healing. And she's the author of Chakra Empowerment for Women from Llewellyn Publishing. She helps women maximize and balance their energy during key life transits, such as pregnancy, postpartum, perimenopause, and menopause, including balancing a mother-child energy line. She also works with women to heal emotional wounds on an energy level from abuse and assault. She's certified in mindfulness, meditation instruction, and trauma sensitivity, and has trained in a variety of healing modalities. She's a member of the International Association of Meditation Instructors, the American Holistic Health Association, the Energy Medicine Practitioners Association, and the Breathe Network, which is a nonprofit dedicated to supporting holistic healing and healers for sexual trauma survivors. So welcome to the Connie Pheiff Show, Lisa Erickson.
Thank you, Connie, for having me.
Well, Lisa, thanks for being here. And it's so funny, too. Like I said, I just wiped my nose because it itched. We actually did a trip to Costco to pick up see if they had any TP over the weekend. And I actually got yelled at for something. He said I was standing too close to him. And then my daughter calls me this morning, and she's like, Mom, she goes, she and her husband are redoing their kitchen. And they're in North Carolina. And she calls me and she's like, I was in Lowe's yesterday. And she goes, I got yelled at.
Yeah, it's tough right now.
Everybody's on edge.
Yeah.
And tense. like, how can we help them, and how can we guide them and really calm them to a place where, it's going to be okay, that we don't have to be on such edge right now.
Yeah, I think it's really important throughout the day to take breaks and really belly breathe. This is one of the simplest things you can do. And what's interesting is that we know that anxiety and your average stress point, as they call it, like the level you are at a particular day, impacts your immune function, right? So say if your average stress point was sort of a 3, and now during this, you're functioning at a 5 or a 6. If you're doing that day after day after day, that actually compromises your immune system, because your stress level impacts the amount of adrenal and cortisol that's pumping through your body. So what you can do throughout the day is try to lower your stress point just periodically throughout the day. Breathe into your belly, elongate your inhales, and like do a 6-count inhale and a 4-count exhale. Just little things like that, 3 times, a few times a day. Now, I actually work with the chakras, which is another kind of mindfulness and meditation, energy work. And from that perspective, also breathing into your belly is very centering, because the energy center or chakra associated with that part of your belly has to do with centering. You're kind of literally bringing all the energy up in your brain that's going crazy and spinning down, right? And we know that our belly has an incredible amount of nerves throughout our, it's actually like our second brain down there, they sometimes call it. So really centering and calming down in your belly, down in your navel chakra, doing that 4 to 5 times a day. You can kind of set a little alarm in your phone or your watch, even just that. And there's a lot more you can do, but even if you just do that, it can have make a really big difference.
I really got into the chakra-based energy healing a couple of years ago myself.
Oh, great.
And there was just some stress, business, and there's always something. There's always some type of stress. And I was working with a naturopathic healer in Orange County, near the airport. And I started working with him, and because I have a low immune system, the other doctor had me on all sorts of medication. I said, I just don't want to do that anymore. I wanted to clear my body of all of that. So I started working with the healer there, and we went through, the emotional, the physical, and what's the third one? The emotional, the physical, and the body. And so we went through all of that. So he introduced me to the chakra based energy healing and meditation. So that I do that every day, and
that's
especially
wonderful.
when there are days or times like this, when there's a lot of, I don't even want to say there's negative energy going on right now, but we can look at it as such, because a lot of people are living in a place of fear.
Yeah.
And I will do that, and I will take extra steps of that throughout the day. And I, whether I intentionally stop to take that break for lunch, and then I will do some meditating, and I will do some walking, and which I never did that before.
How much of a difference has it made?
Oh, it's made a huge difference, because before I was like, I had to work. It was, 12, 14 hours a day. And, especially when you're running your own entrepreneurial business and you're stressed and you have to do it. And I don't have time to stop for lunch. I don't have time to stop for anything. And then, of course, you start noticing, and you talk about menopause. And with the work you do, well, I started noticing that in the muffin top. And, why is that happening? But it was all of the stress and all of that was happening. And I learned more about that as well. And it's like, okay, we have to slow this down. We have to breathe. And it made a complete difference. And I'm prone to migraines, and I still will get them occasionally, but not like I used to have at all. And I do credit the chakra healing for that.
Yeah. Well, and that's when a lot of people turn to modalities like this. You kind of hit a wall, right? If you just push and push and push, you're on this in this constant rat race, always trying to push harder, always thinking your success is based on working longer hours.
Right.
You eventually hit a wall. Your body will just, tell you, I'm done. You'll either get very sick or just have gradual issues or sleep issues, digestive issues, or in some cases, something more serious. So it's important to develop these healthy routines before that. And then I think what you discover, or certainly what I discovered, and maybe this is true for you too, is it isn't even just about health. You actually work more efficiently because when your mind is calm and clear, or when you have that kind, when you need to take a break, you get twice as much done. You don't sit and spin through an entire project. You know how to just sit down and do it. You know how to transition. That's all energetic shifts that you're making in your awareness. Like, I need to focus now. Yeah. So it's kind of this, it seems contradictory that taking time out, you're going to get more done, but you do if you're taking the right kind of time out.
Right. Because I know looking back, it was a place of fear and that spinning wheel, but it wasn't a complete focus to what I had to get done. And if I find myself in that place of not focusing, I'll just stop and say, okay, let's just step away and we'll refocus and then we'll come back. So you started out as an executive in technology in New York City.
Yes.
How did you
15 years.
From technology to the work that you're doing today.
Yeah.
A complete shift.
Yeah. A couple years out of college, when I had been doing that work for a couple years, I was working in consulting and just working huge, long hours, right? And I actually liked the work, but just, long hours. And I was only 24 and I was experiencing stress, headaches, stomach aches, insomnia. And so a friend actually recommended a meditation class. As it happened, it was a chakra meditation class, and that really transformed my life. I really resonated with not simply meditation, but specifically energy-based meditation. For me, there's a lot of modalities. For me, that resonated, and it changed the way that I managed my energy in my life. And so as I continued my career for many more years in technology, but I was studying energy healing and Kundalini meditation on my own throughout that time, and eventually made a career shift. And then kind of within that career shift, another shift specifically into women's energetics and trauma healing a little bit later on.
Wow. So how does the trauma healing for women or women's energy bodies and chakra systems differ than for men?
Yeah. So women, our energy bodies are anchored in a different place in our energy body. For those who already know the chakras, I'll throw, this might be too technical for some, but we're anchored in our second chakra, which is in our pelvic area, as opposed to the root chakra, which is the anchor. And that's not taught a lot, but it's very important because what it means, that chakra is actually receptive yin fluid chakra. So in general, although this is very much generalized, men tend energetically need to focus more on fluidity, and women need to focus more on energetic boundaries and grounding their energy and directing the natural fluidity of their energy body. And on energy bodies, because we really have a default of absorbing other people's energies and emotions without realizing it. And so we're learning to work with our energy in such a way that we can really distinguish when we're picking up others' emotions and when we're not. And of course, men can do this too, but for women, it's much more of a default, both energetically and because of conditioning, because we are still very much conditioned to take responsibility for other people's emotions, sometimes to our detriment. So a lot of the work that I do with women's energetics is helping women specifically kind of key into the ways they're doing that, and specific chakra meditations to help them counter that and kind of reprogram the way they are in the world energetically.
The Connie Pheiff Show is heard everywhere. You can find The Connie Pheiff Show on most of your favorite networks. It's time to now recognize and thank our major networks for all of their support. In the house, we have Conscious Business Radio, C-Suite Radio, Transformation Radio, iHeartRadio. We are also heard on Google Play, Apple, Radio, Stitcher, and so many more that I just can't keep up with them all. I'm Connie Pheiff, your unstoppable diva. Learn more about our gym and how we can work together at my fancy schwanky website, ConniePheiffShow.com. I'll see you over there. Until then, like, share. Now back to the show. We mentioned menopause before, the perimenopause and the menopause. So how does that help women, even going through pregnancy or postpartum? So how does that help women really give them the empowerment going through this, especially through menopause? So I've gone through that and it was not fun.
I did too, and I had a pretty smooth time, and I think it's largely because of the energy work. But I had already been doing all of that beforehand, Okay. But there's different theories on it. Yeah, I think the other thing that's different about women's chakra systems within the energy medicine traditions is that our energy shifts with each of these life transits that you have mentioned. Mm-hmm. It shifts monthly with menstruation. It shifts with pregnancy. It shifts with perimenopause and menopause. So part of the teachings on perimenopause energetically is that we're kind of having surges of energy going through our body. And what we need is a lot of focus on grounding and stabilizing our energy. So there's certain meditations that you can do to help stabilize your energy flow, really stabilizing it. And also that it's a tremendous opportunity for personal growth. I think the other piece of energy work is for personal transformation. So really approaching the challenges that arise during that time as an opportunity to shift into kind of the next version of yourself, that those challenges are actually showing places that you might be limiting your personal power. And I don't know about you, but I've known so many women who in their 40s feel as if they faced a lot of challenges, and if they leaned into them in their 50s, they rebirthed themselves. It wasn't always easy. But, and for those who don't, they feel as if in their 50s, they're kind of going downhill and they have to really, it's even harder then to kind of turn things around. So there's really this window for most women in their 40s to really look at the ways they may have been limiting their power and lean into clearing those obstructions, facing past trauma, really looking at relationships or marriages that are not satisfying and deciding to either work on them or let them go, shifting parent-child relationships, all that kind of stuff.
That's really interesting. And I think for a lot of people, it happens organically. Yeah. During that period, whether it's because of menopause or, it's that generation where, you're taking care of mom and dad, but you're also taking care of your children as well. And I think you see things in a new way, in a different way, and you start really taking inventory of your life and where you're at. But I love how you put that. It's that window that you can actually look through to fully understand and embrace where you've come from. And maybe embrace isn't the right word, but maybe some of that abuse that you've gone through, like you said, the marriages or the marriage that you're in, is it the marriage that you want to continue with or work through? And if you don't do that, and if you get into your 50s and then now you're still questioning, why is my life still not where I want to be at this age? And you're still questioning yourself. So that's it's really interesting how you phrase that. Yeah, it really is this midlife assessment point. Right. And what's so fascinating is that energy teachings going way, way back actually defined it as that, right? Like this, and that for women in particular, this transit that occurs as we're moving out of our childbearing years should be a time when we're moving into kind of our greatest power. Right. And our cultures
image of aging doesn't really support that, because we're so focused on women's worth being based in their physical appearance and their youth and being a mother, whatever, right? And so there can be these cultural messages that you're like heading to the end. And actually, it's this time to come into your power in a new way.
Well, I think it's the cultural messages where, like you said, I mean, for me, the cultural message was you don't go to college, you become a wife, you have children, you take care of your family, you're a mom, you're a wife, you're this, you take care of the house, and then you get old. Yeah. So that's what you're expected of. And again, for me, I broke that. I went to college. I did everything else first, and then I did the family. Yeah. And so I broke that before I was even able to get there. So for a lot of women too, they have that challenge of, oh, I can't do that because that's not the expectation. That's not my culture. That's not what I'm supposed to be doing. But now going through menopause or perimenopause, we have all of this energy. Mm-hmm. And what you're talking about, that helps women find a place or what they can do with that energy. Yeah. And if they can reframe the way they approach the challenges of that time, the questioning that's going on, the energetic surges, which are actually to some extent surges of Kundalini energy, which is the energy that moves through the chakras. That's the teachings that happens naturally for women during perimenopause. It's part of when we talk about night sweats and hot flashes and things like that. Right. Those are things that are described for anyone who meditates on the Kundalini at any age as a sign it's moving through. And it's happening, normally for women during perimenopause. If instead of facing those things with fear, you can, reframe them as a sign that you do have this additional energy and learn how to ground that, learn how to question without fear, question your life with a kind of open-ended way, and look for the tools you need to do that, whether it's counseling or a coach or spiritual guidance. Meditation is a great thing to take up at that time. All of those kinds of things can help you work with it in a way that allows you to rebirth yourself as opposed to shut down. And a lot of people will do that, especially if there's been sexual trauma, physical trauma, any type of trauma that they've had in their life, they will shut down. Yeah. And using meditation. And I did use this as well. And this is what was coming up for me was some of the trauma that I had as a child. And that's what started coming up for me because I had, pushed it all inside. And so when other things were happening, it was triggering those emotions. So going through this and the meditation really helped me heal some of that trauma that had happened to me as a child. So it definitely does contribute to the healing of any type of trauma that has happened in previous years. And this is very common that in midlife, trauma that has not yet been faced, that had been pushed away, rises back up. And if we are able to really turn to it and work with it in some way towards healing, a tremendous amount of energy is freed up for us because there's a lot of energy in repressing, keeping things in a box. Yes. Because that's based on fear that I can't handle it if it does come up, fear of how it's going to impact me. And as soon as you actually find the right tools to help you let it out of the box and face it, you can release any of the other residual things that may have been holding you back. Feelings of shame or guilt, self-blame, unworthiness, all of that you can finally work to heal. When you do that, then, this incredible new sense of personal power is yours, right? It's beautiful. You have this inner courage, this inner confidence. It really is. It's beautiful. So, I mean, you're just so passionate about helping women connect with their bodies. And I know you talked about leaving, corporate, if you will, the technology industry. But I mean, you just continued down this path. I mean, what was the passion that just continued taking you down this path to to where you're at today?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I sort of had a crisis, and then, I have a great passion for this work, but I was on the fence when I had my first child. I was already 38 when I had my older daughter, and I was on the fence about whether I wanted to continue my technology career. At that point, I had kind of been doing some energy healing on the side, but was not really, and meditation teaching, but was not really considering it as a potential career. But then she was born, and I got very sick afterwards. I had a gallbladder attack, and then I caught a bunch of infections in the hospital. And I had not been sick like that at any time in my life. Okay. And the doctors could not really help me. They could not figure out what was going on. So I really had to turn to energy medicine in a new way, very personal. And it led me down a path of researching a lot of things specific to women's energetics that I hadn't really seen a lot about. And that really is what caused me to shift into this work, that whole experience postpartum of how my energy changed, of other things that had been released in my energy body. Okay. That doesn't happen for every woman, but that then became a driving force down this direction of women's energetics. And as I started doing more women's classes, I was just having so many women coming to me privately asking how to heal specifically sexual trauma from their past. Okay. So then that became another focus. And that's, I think, what's really kept me going is just that feeling of watching people heal and blossom as they find the right tools for themselves. It's just so rewarding, right? To see that happening.
Well, that's beautiful. Wow. So I always ask all of our guests, so if you could finish this sentence, Lisa, I am unstoppable because I know how to tap into that which is unseen, the unseen energy that's beneath the surface. So many of us have a diseased please, and all that you're doing in helping women to overcome, how do you help them and yourself overcome that disease?
The disease, say that again, the disease please?
The disease to please.
To please. Oh, yeah.
As women, that's, we have that.
Yeah. Sourcing in your own sense of inner worthiness so you don't need external validation. So it all comes down to self-love. It sounds very cliche, but when you truly focus on loving yourself, you don't need that external validation as your source of your own worthiness anymore. And then you stand in your own power.
Well, what's that moment in your life that's had the greatest impact on you?
Probably the birth of my first child, both in terms of cracking open my heart in a way that I didn't know was possible. But then in terms of the serious health challenges after that point, which really changed the trajectory of my life in terms of the work that I'm doing now.
Wow, beautiful. So if there were a song named after you, what would it be called?
Oh, goodness. I think it would be called In Flight, something like that, flight. Okay. I just really love images of flying and the ways that birds can see everything, have this grand, kind of larger vision of how everything functions and how it all fits together.
Wow. So what's next? Where do you go from here?
Hopefully, I just continue to find new ways to bring self-empowering tools, I think, to people. Okay. And continue to raise my family and hope that I have 3 teenagers now, hoping that they all grow up to be functional, happy adults.
Nice. So you have a course now that I've seen, and you have another course coming out later this fall. So let our listeners know how to get more information on that.
Yeah. Go to chakraempowermentforwomen.com, and chakra, if that's a new word to you, it's CHAKRA, empowermentforwomen.com. That's also the name of the book, which you can get pretty much anywhere, but the course ties to the book, and there's different focuses within it, whether it's goal attainment, healing, or trauma.
Nice. Very nice. And you have an online course. So that's your online course, the Daily Om. That's what I was saying. Yes, the Daily Om.
Yeah. And that's a different course. It's not as tied to this book. It was done earlier, but it has a lot of the same chakra information in it. Not so much the focus on trauma healing, however.
Okay. Yeah, because when I was looking, I was finding you all over.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's good to hear.
Yeah. So good. Yeah. So good for you. I was like, because I have followed the Daily Om before.
Yeah.
So I definitely have. So, well, Lisa, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Connie, for having me.
I loved having you here, and you're always welcome to come back and join us again.
Thank you so much, and good luck with everything going on in this difficult time. To everyone out there, to you and everyone out there.
Thank you. Well, that's all we have for today, everyone. Remember, no two people are ever alike, but love each other just the same. You're listening to the Connie Pheiff Show. Go out this week and have a great week, and be kind to each other. Take care. Bye-bye. Hey, y'all, it's Connie Pheiff. Thank you for listening to the Connie Pheiff Show. Check back often. You don't want to miss any of the good stuff. If you like what you hear and would like to be a guest on the show, head over to theconniefeifshow.com to apply. While you're there, check out our amazing advertising opportunities that will put you right in front of your perfect client. I will see you over there. Do yourself a favor this week. Activate your power and be unstoppable together.